as a member of the traveller community, as probably one of the only women in both houses from an ethnic minority group, I am sick to the pits of my stomach of the good doers without the inclusion of Muslim women, black women, and for our voices to be equally heard around any table. We have the Gender Equality Committee, Minister, you spoke about that. Little or nothing, I know they had an action plan, I welcome that action plan, but very little has been done for minority women in this country, in this government and in previous successive governments. We have a women's movement that's for white middle class women in this country that too often leaves behind the women from ethnic minority groups. I may not look like I'm from an ethnic minority group. However, I do have to try and batten my way in for my voice to be heard truly in these houses and on committees as well, and unfortunately. And today we had a brilliant event for women celebrating MPs in Europe, and it was absolutely fantastic. There were Muslim women there, there were black women there, I was there. Not one mention of diversity for women in politics. 40% women in politics. Gender equality means background, it means race, every gender, like, you know, it's not just women, it's women from the traveller community, black women, Muslim women, women who are disabled. It's meant to be for all of us. In here in this house we have all white women. Not one woman is from, apart from myself, from an ethnic minority group. So we can't be sitting here every single year, this is my third year to do this International Women's Speech. And today I'm just as hurt as what I was the very first time that I came in to do this speech. Because little or nothing has changed for women out on the ground. Women from my community that's going through addiction, that's suffering domestic violence, young children at the age of 15 years of age being able to get married in this state through the church. Yes, not in the state, but in the church. Why isn't that monitored? Why isn't young children from my community, 15-year-old girls, why aren't they looked after? Why haven't those young children have the same quality of opportunity as white middle-class children? I'm just genuinely, absolutely sitting here and I feel as false as what false can be. And to a certain extent, I feel a lot of the people around me is just, you know, the good doers. We can't have any more good doers. We can do for ourselves. Give us spaces around the table. When you're talking about 40% women participation in politics, please include all women. You have the National Traveller Forum, you have the Refugee Council, you have the Migrant Rights Centre of Ireland, you have Disabled Women of Ireland, you have all organisations there. Include us. And as a mother of 2 children, I do not want my 2 little girls, Billy and Lacey, to go through any of the inequalities that I have to experience in this country. Not one of my two little girls. And I will be voting yes for the definition of family. I was reared by my father. My mother passed away when I was 10 years of age, and it took all of my mother's family and my father and stuff, and I was in an accident, so I was practically reared by nurses in Our Lady's Hospital as well. Definition of family can be absolutely anything, and I will be voting yes. And as a mother, I don't believe Senator Hogan is talking on behalf of all of us. I will say that, but Minister, I do not want to be sitting here next year. I don't, given this same old, what I see, meaningless speech. When we talk about equality for women, we can't just throw sanitary towels into toilets and tampons and say, there you go now, women's equality around poverty, while I welcome that. But that's like, you know, we need good, meaningful health services for women. Health services that we can trust in this country for women and for all women from minority groups as well. We are too far, Minister, left behind. And I will ask you to be a minister of change when you're talking about your 40% in politics, to include all women, and especially women on the margins of society, because it's not just gender. Within gender, we also have race, we have cultural differences, and all that needs to be celebrated. You go into the house in here, you won't see any diversity. And until we physically see diversity in spaces and create spaces for women from my community, women who are black, for Muslim women, we are and for trans women as well. I'm all about trans women's rights, and I don't want to not have them in this speech today. We need a parliament that's more inclusive, and we don't need any more good doers for women in our women's movement. Leave us in and we can do for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much.